So the conspiracy theory that I'm going to be talking about is why birds aren't real. I know that might sound crazy, but just hear me out. In 2001, the government got rid of all the birds and replaced them with drones so the government can watch over us every day. In the late 1970s, a group of people found out that the government was doing this and started a movement called Birds Aren't Real. Immediately, this was censored. This movement was censored. They were able to censor it because it was in the 70s when stuff was way easier to be censored. This movement started again in 2019 and was started on social medias like TikTok and Reddit. You may be wondering, how were the birds killed? There were water tanks that were dropped into the lakes by the government with a bird poison that caused it to spread a virus and was passed on to other birds. Only birds were affected by this, and it would make it through their bloodstream, then affect their bone structure and cause the birds to die and decompose. Have you ever wondered of all the different types of birds there are? Each bird acts different. Parrots are able to speak, to repeat what someone says even though they don't have human minds. Many of you might be thinking, where does the sound come from then? The sound actually comes from a microphone implanted chip inside the fake bird's chest. The sound is then projected through the bird's throat and then is interpreted to cause a human voice. Instead of it being an animal talking, it is actually an FBI agent talking directly through the microphone. Vultures are used to keep roadkill out of highways. That's why they're always up in the air. The bluebirds are actually scanning you because of the colors. The color of the bird attracts your eyes, so it is able to scan you. Have you ever wondered why a woodpecker pecks so quickly? Well, it's actually a fake bird that takes pictures quicker than any other bird. Pigeons are found everywhere, and the reason why is because the government is keeping track to make sure that nothing is going on. So this is why if you're at a park and someone starts causing trouble, you'll see a cop randomly show up. The government is alerting the police to go where there is trouble due to the pigeons. There are times where you're eating outside and a bird randomly flies near you and is just staring at you. If you ever see the bird tilt its head, it means you're being recorded and being used as footage. When you hear birds chirping, that is just another way to signal the other fake birds that they got the footage. This is why, like I said in the beginning, cops randomly show up because the government is alerting the cops, and this causes the cops know to where you're located and where all the trouble is. A question I want you to ask yourself is, when was the last time you ever caught a bird? You can pet a dog and say it's a real thing, but birds fly miles above the sky and we just assume that they're real things, but they're really not. When you try and catch a bird, you are never able to because of how fast it takes off. You aren't able to catch them because they don't want you to feel and discover the type of material they're made of. When birds migrate they fly to the south when it gets cold. The reason they all fly to the south is because they go get their battery changed. When they're up north and the cold weather starts to hit, their battery starts to die. There are other theories saying that birds have electrical charging coils on their feet because they sit on power lines. The birds could be charging, and that's why they're up there and never get electrocuted. If a human was to get up there, we'd probably die and be electrocuted. If you ever find that recently a bird had just died out of nowhere, it's probably because it didn't have any time to recharge. In the movie Bird Box, people wear blindfolds constantly because the creatures tap into your deepest fear. But I'm just going to take this movie and apply it to the conspiracy theory. Let's just say the people wear blindfolds constantly because they don't want to take them off because they don't want to see the birds. Can the reason why they don't want to take them off is because birds aren't real? So they can't take their blindfolds off because they can't see the birds. But if they do take the blindfolds off, they'll die. It's kind of like saying if we started exposing that birds aren't real, the government will come and kill us. If people find out that birds don't exist, the government will get caught, and they don't want that to happen. If only a few people found out, they can just take them and get rid of them. But if everybody found out, they would try to get rid of them, causing a lot of chaos they would want to avoid. You might be thinking to yourself, what about a chicken? Well, chickens aren't really birds. Sure, they have feathers, but they can just fly and jump and land. But they can barely even fly, like I said. The most they can do is just jump and land. Saying birds are chickens is kind of like saying because a dog has fur and claws, it's a bear. So, in conclusion, these are the reasons why birds aren't real. Next time you see a bird while you're eating outside, you might want to scare it away because you're being recorded and being used as footage. Thank you.